I am your hostess this morning, Noelle Curtis, and I am so grateful that you all are joining us. Um, Bear with me as I get my bearings on all these simultaneous castings, and we'll go from there. Okay, I'm hoping everything is streaming live and you all could see my screen. Give me a thumbs up if you can see my screen. Hey, Rodney, so good to see you. Um,
Likewise.
oh, well, I'm going to actually keep you muted because this is a very, very live stream on all of my platforms. So I appreciate you for jumping in here. And hopefully, you guys will get some insight in on what's going on. Okay, but so not to, um, you all know me. If you've ever been live with me, you know I'm extremely prompt. I don't like to abuse people's time. So we're just going to go ahead and get started. So, good morning. My name is Noelle Curtis. I'm the CEO and founder of Busy Boulevard. And welcome to our Profit Planning for 2024, our free online workshop. This will stream today, it'll stream next Monday and the following Monday. And then we'll take a break for the holiday because you know you got the Christmas and New Year's coming up. And then we'll be back in January. So, you'll see me 3 times this month. And then you won't see me again until January unless you have my phone number or we are making some plans. All right. So, welcome, welcome, welcome. Make sure you stay to the end of this because I do have some special promotions. So, as you all know, Busy Boulevard officially launched November 24th, and I am so excited, so very excited. But today, we're going to be pretty intentional about our time and what you're going to gather. I'm going to give you a quick introduction about what Busy Boulevard is. We're going to talk about some important areas of focus when it comes to planning. I'm going to drop some planning tactics and some tidbits, some little gems and jewels along the way. If you have any questions, you can put them in the chat. Now, I know I have like simulcast going on here, so I'm on like 5 different platforms streaming. So if you're not on the Zoom link, that's okay. You can drop them in the chat. I do have a team that will be scrubbing our social media conversations to make sure that your questions do not get lost in the shuffle. Okay. And if I don't respond to them or the questions that you have aren't answered from the information that I'm presenting today, don't worry. You'll get an email from me or you will absolutely see follow up and social media content that comes out because ultimately the point of Busy Boulevard is to help you reach the financial goals that you want with your company using your creative skill set that you've taken so much of your time to learn and enhance, and with the intent, right, of earning a livable wage and livable income. So I'm so grateful to be here with you all this morning, and we're going to go ahead and I'm gonna tell you a little bit about myself. So, you know, I've been off the scene for a while because I've been working diligently on Busy Boulevard. But I am a 10-year plus beauty industry professional, but I'm a 20+ year entrepreneur. So, when I was in my 20s, I was like the chief executive officer of one of the only African American owned vertically operated catfish processing facilities in the United States, right? So in my early 20s, I was sitting in executive offices and I had a beautiful international career in media and advertising, as well as in elementary education administration. And now you can find me after, you know, the pandemic closed our beauty salon. I have transitioned into software and technology, and it's not a huge leap. If you've been involved in my life over those years, you know that I definitely have a panache and interest in anything that'll continue to move the world forward. But Busy Boulevard Inc., what we do, we design, develop, and market financial analytic and appointment setting software. And we do that to support entrepreneurs in a variety of service based and appointment based professional industries. We're launching in the beauty industry, but we already have attorneys and cleaning companies and landscapers who are geared to use our system. So I don't want you to think that this is just about the beauty service provider. It is not. It truly is about anyone who has a company, who has to operate with appointments, and who needs to know how to best utilize their time, their skill set, and create service pricing that works for them. Okay. Now I got my little warm tea here to keep my voice going. It's early in the morning. Mm, my children were not feeling well, so I'm working my voice here. So that's a little bit about me. If you got any other questions, you could Google me. It's okay. I am out there. So today, though, we are going to talk about profit planning for 2024. And if we're honest with ourselves, sometimes planning for the future can be extremely overwhelming. All right. So the first thing I can encourage you to do is to be honest with yourself, understand where you are right now in your entrepreneurial journey, and be patient with yourself as you go through the motions and the activities to get you to where you want to be. But this is my first question to you. If you had to describe your feelings about planning for your future, what word would you use? Because oftentimes, and you could throw that in the chat, oftentimes I hear people say, well, I'm so confused. Where am I supposed to start? What do I even need to be looking for to get my company going, to get to the next level? Or, just what's going on? Like, I'm so confused. I hear that more times than you would believe. And it's understandable because as you're starting a company, as you're growing a company, there's a lot of information that you have to filter and to extract the best information that's going to work for you. So if you feel confused at times, it's okay. All right. I've been there. There are times even now as I'm planning our international expansion where it's just like, which road do I take first? Which step do I go into first? But it's okay. So we're all going through journeys. But then sometimes, right? And hopefully this is where you'll get at least, closer to the other end of the spectrum. You want to feel confident and you want to know that, hey, I've got this. Because at the end of the day, you do have all the skill sets that you need to get your company up, going, and growing. Okay. You have everything that you already need inside of you. Now you just got to be confident in your capabilities and you got to start drawing them out. That is the biggest thing about moving forward with planning. But again, you want to know, where do you want to go? Before you start a plan, you must know where you are and where you want to end up. And realize and remember, right? A plan is a detailed proposal for doing or achieving something. Now, plans do not happen in a silo. They're not all about you, right? You have to think about the other people that your plan is going to impact, the people that you need to help you move your plan forward. And that's also extremely important as you're moving through your planning. Let's see, we got some chats in here. Yeah. Oh, okay. So some people said they feel excited and anxious about planning, which is absolutely true, and optimistic and encouraged. So those are wonderful things to have emotions about. But anxiety is normal. All right. So today we're going to talk about let's just normalize, right? If you don't know it, you don't know it. So it's okay. There are times when you just don't know. And again, as I said, as long as you're honest with yourself, you'll be okay. Because that's the first step into getting to being able to get your plan in motion. The other thing you absolutely want to remember is you have to put a um, time bound parameters on your plan, right? You cannot have a plan that is just happening and never comes to an end? Where is it going? Even I'll talk about planning and related to travel all the time. If you're going somewhere on a vacation, let's say you're going to Hawaii and we're here in Chicago, but let's say you want to go to Hawaii. You don't plan for where you are. You're not planning for being in Chicago. You're planning to go to Hawaii. So you're packing, you're planning, everything that you're going to do is going to be about where you are going and the activity that you'll do when you're at that destination. When you're starting a company, when you're running a company, when you're creating a plan, it's the same theory. All right. But I know there's a whole lot that you can focus on. I mean, I could find at least 50 to 60 things in a company that we could talk about, but that's not the important things, right? A lot of those things turn into like minute details. But for today, the main focus areas that we're going to talk about is your company structure, your overall financial plan, the service menu or products or services that you offer, your customers, your marketing, and how you're tracking all of this as you go along. All right. So there are just things about creating a plan. We're going to streamline them to just those topics today. Now, remember, each one of these topics or each element of a plan has surface level information as well as underneath, right? The heavy stuff that's really holding it up and supporting it. So, like the pillar that your plan topic is standing on, realize that what I'm giving you all is simply framework, but it's up to you to put the details into the elements of your plan. All right. So, here we go. Are you ready? We're about to start. All right. So before we jump in, I want you all to make sure you have a piece of paper, a pen, something to take some notes. Turn off as many distractions as you can. I know it's hard to think about, oh no, everything is going on, but hey, it is a Monday morning. Let's focus in on this because right now we're focusing on your company and how your company is going to grow and develop. So let's streamline the distractions. The only distraction I have going on me right now is a timer to make sure I stay on time. But that's one thing I can say. And then also let's just take a minute, pause, take a breath. I'm going to take a sip of my water. Because planning can be overwhelming. That's the word I use often when I come and start thinking about plans because my husband tells me I have the gift to go from a 0 to a million in plans and visions and it's true. But I think about all the details and I'm thinking steps and steps and steps ahead. So but for today, we're going to just say okay, I can do this. All right? So everybody just inhale, hold it, and then exhale it. Okay, you can do this. I'm here to help you. You're not by yourself. We're going to go. First thing we'll talk about, company structure. Now, again, I said I'm here in Chicago, right? We're headquartered in Chicago, Illinois. But when you're starting your company, and I say this because a lot of times people just skip right over the very first step, right? Is this a hobby or is it a company? Because there are two very distinct differences in that. If it's a hobby, great. By default, that's where all businesses start. That's where all company ideas start. They start as a hobby. They start as, this is my little personal idea. How am I going to bring it forward so other people can come and support and it'll actually transition into a company? Now, a company is where you're able to hire people, support the idea and growth, and get your product or your service into the market. But in order for you to do that, you have to absolutely have entity structure, right? We are not playing in the I just want to stay off the radar. If you want to stay off the radar, that's fine, right? There is no judgment here about where you are in this journey, but I encourage you to think about where you want to go. Because where you want to go with your company will determine what type of entity structure you should have. You want to assess the cost. Now, when you talk about making a plan, a cost is always ever looming. It's ever present, right? People don't always like to talk about the money, but the money is always there and there's no escaping it. Of note, when you are just a sole proprietor, you're by default, there's no cost for that, right? But there's also, you're assuming all the liability and risks that go with that company. If you're starting an LLC in Illinois, it's about $150 to start it. And then there's a $75 annual fee that you have to keep going and keep doing to make sure that that stays actual viable company. And then if you're going to be a corporation, at least here in Illinois, it starts at about 150, and then there are annual fees that are assessed depending on if you have stock options and things of that nature that you're executing, if you're executing those exercises. But above all, what you want to do is keep your documents safe and in place and keep them together so you can readily access them whenever you need them to move forward with different business decisions. So, this LLC, your corporation, those entity documents, I always tell people your entity formation is like the birth certificate of your company, right? Because a company is its own private entity. It's a structure. It's like a person in and of itself. You see how I have this headless man here, right? It's a headless body. Everyone who has a company, they have a headless body. All we want to know from the outside as a consumer, we want to know, well, what type of person or entity, what type of body are we dealing with? Are we dealing with an LLC? Are we dealing with a corporation? What is it, right? That's up to you, the owner, to decide. There is no one who can tell you the best way of starting your company. You have to do your research, you have to make your own decision. But the one thing I can tell you is when you start it, you want to keep it going and don't stop. Because if you stop these corporate filings and if your entity goes into default, it'll just crumble and all the work you've done will be out of the window. And I can tell you, it will more than likely cost you more to get that started again versus to be intentional before you start it and to keep it going along the way. All right. So you have to make a decision. This structure is the foundational piece of your company. Next, you want to have a financial plan. So I like to call this the now filter. And the now filter, when a financial plan, what it does is it helps you to determine the things that are necessary, the things that are obligations, and the things that are actually just simply wants in your overall plan. Now, we're talking about planning for 2024. That is a whole year of activity, but you have to put a financial number to that. What is it that you are trying to pay yourself? That is a need. Why is it a need for you to pay yourself? Because you have general lifestyle uh, um, expenses that you have to pay, right? You have to pay for shelter, you have to pay for food, you have to pay for clothing. Those are just given, right? Maslow's hierarchy of needs. You have to take care of yourself and your family, and you have to give yourself that sense of stability. Now, if you're working in another job as you are transitioning into owning your own company, that's okay. All right. Again, judgment free zone. Everyone has to start somewhere. But what you want to think about, I always challenge people when they say, "Hey, Noelle, I'm starting this company." And I'm like, "Great. How much are you going to pay yourself?" And they're like, "Oh, no, 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 I'm not going to pay myself. I'm just put all the money back in the company." And I'm like, okay, well, let's run the mathematical logic behind this, right? The company that you're currently working at, do they pay you enough to meet all of your financial necessary obligations every month? And most of the times they say no, which is why they're starting this new company, right? They're starting the company to get more income into their household. So you're starting a company, you're intending on leaving a company that doesn't pay you enough to jump into a company that's not paying you at all. That's just bad math, right? That is a bad plan. Now, and it is rare I will call anybody's plan bad, but whenever I hear that frame of logic, I immediately say, no, nope, absolutely not. I'm not going to support you. I'm not going to help you do that at all, because you're setting yourself up for failure. And then you're going to try to use me as a scapegoat and say, well, Noelle said. Noelle didn't say it. Noelle was very, very clear, right? And told you that is a bad plan. That is a bad idea. Let's get some financial planning in place with this. So, what will that look like? You need to have a personal budget in place. You cannot be afraid of math when it comes to running a company. It is the heart and core, just as essential as that foundation of what entity you're doing. If you have your EIN, the financial number of your company is extremely important. The other filter of the now lens, right? You have the necessities. You're paying yourself, you're taking care of your expenses. Then you have the obligations. That is the money that you need to pay others. So for you who are, thinking of going into a brick and mortar location for your establishment, that's the rent that you're going to have to pay. Those are the lights or the gas or the water that you're going to have to pay, the employees that you're going to have to pay. Those are obligations. If you're trying to take out company loans or do equipment financing, again, obligations that you are now intentionally putting yourself in the position to have to take care of from a financial perspective. And then the last filter of this now filter is the W. It's the wants. Those are the things that you can delay, but you can also intentionally plan for, right? So think about your vacations, a particular brand of clothing or a car that you want. Anything in excess that's beyond those necessities, the necessities of life, and the obligations that you're committing yourself to take on this business endeavor. So you want to think about with those wants, what can you stop doing, right? Immediately to take care of those necessities and to take care of those obligations, but knowing you have a few wants that you want to engage in by the end of all of your financial activity. So one way to think about this, you want to put your personal budget in your company budget just a little bit. Now, I know you'll hear it like I'll say don't commingle at all. Now, when I'm saying put your budgets together, what I'm saying is you have to have your own personal necessary budget that you understand, and you have to run that on the filter of your company budget. Why? Because your company, right, ultimately should be paying you enough to cover your personal budget expenses. It's simple logic. And if you put it in a larger framework, the revenue minus expenses of your company will give you profit or loss. But you, my friends, are an expense of your company. So if your company budget does not allocate enough to cover your personal budget as an expense, meaning, hey, this company is going to pay me a salary, how is it going to compensate me? You are an expense of your company. So now I just gave you the framework so you can never say, Noelle told me that it was a safe idea for me to leave a company that wasn't paying me enough to start my own company where I'm not paying myself. Mm-mm. I just took that excuse away from you. Okay. Noelle just told you you need to figure out your personal budget, what you need this company that you're about to start to pay you so that you can now live the life that you want to live. And here at Busy Boulevard, that's what we're all about. We're all about you living the life that you want to, because no matter what anyone says, everyone has a different financial need and a different financial expectation on how they're going to live their lives. And one thing I could tell you, in our platform, we already have it built into your dashboard where you're able to track your personal expenses and your company expenses. Right. And you can even download it so you can see it. You can manipulate it outside of the budget, outside of your platform, or you can manipulate it with inside the platform. Everyone has their own set of unique financial needs. Thank you, Rodney. Everyone has their own personal needs, right? My needs are not the same as your needs. But we do have some universal needs, right? We talked about it, those necessities. Everyone has necessities. And if you're starting a company, there are also universal obligations that are just inherent of running a company. So there's two practices that you have to be very comfortable with. You have to be extremely confident in you knowing the numbers that you're going to deal with. But if you are like, I don't know which ones I need to think about or need to start with, that's okay. Our platform has you covered, right? Because again, we have them already pre-programmed into your platform, into your dashboard. So you can input your budget that works for you, right? This is now you really are in the driver's seat of determining how is your company going to thrive and grow, but also how are you personally going to be financially situated and sound so that you're not stressed all the way through as you're moving through with this activity that you're doing. All right. So I can't help but overemphasize everyone has their own unique set of financial needs, but there are some universal ones, and we try to make sure that those are included in the platform. So you're not fiddling around and trying to figure out which ones do you really need to implement. Now, let's talk about your service offerings. Now, this is right, the bread and butter, right? What is it that you even do? Now, when we talk about this, I like to again this filter. What do you want to do? Right? Because that's usually why everyone starts a company, because they have this passion. It's like, oh my gosh, I want to do this. When I started my salon, my day spa, I really wanted to do the best facials in the world and put the eyebrows together. And, I was an esthetician and a nail tech. And I was like, yes, I'm going to have the best relaxing experience the customers can have. And they did. We did it for 10 years. And it was wonderful. That's what I wanted to do. And I knew I could do every single service that I had learned to do when I was in school, learning how to become an esthetician, to become a nail technician, right? So I knew what I wanted to do. I knew what I could do. But the one thing that I had to keep in mind, right, is what were the customers asking me to do? Because oftentimes we as owners, we know what we want, we can do, we know what we're capable of. But the one thing that'll throw that off track, right, or derail it or change it is what your customers start to ask you to do. And so, although I love doing facials, my number one requested service turned out to be Brazilian waxing. The whole other end of the spectrum of the body. Let's just even say there, right? So I was focused on the face. And they're like, no, 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 come on, focus down here below the belt. And I was like, interesting, but how can I make sure that it all works together, right? A combination of understanding the time that is needed to do what you can do and what your customers are asking you to do. So your service menu is absolutely based on time. Everything about you running your company is based on the financial aspect and the time aspect. You cannot separate them. And I call time our frenemy, right? Because if you know how to control your time, it's your friend. But if you get off track on anything, oh my gosh, your time will feel like the worst enemy ever, right? Have you ever been there where it's like, oh my gosh, where'd the time go? I ran out of time. Because time is not going to stop for you. So just because you have this service menu going, you want to make sure that you are thinking about the processes that it takes for your service menu to be executed, right? If you have 15 different services that you're able to offer, but you only have like a couple of hours out of the day, what is the process that you need to make sure is absolutely streamlined to get through your service menu so that your customers are happy? And what can you do to improve your processes? You have to think about that. Lastly, what can be added next? So this goes back to what do the customers ask you to do, right? So out of what you are able to do and what you want to do, you have a good control of your time and the process that's involved in it and how you're able to improve that. And then you're also able to go back and listen to your customers. You should be constantly talking to your customers to find out what is it that they're really, really looking for to make sure they can continue to come to you. And as you can think, Busy Boulevard, we're here for you. Our platform, we have over 50 preloaded services in the service menu that you can choose from depending on your industry so that you don't even have to think about, oh my goodness, what is it the service that I want to do, right? We already have a lot of service offerings preloaded into your dashboard. You just pick the ones that you want to do and that you can do and that your customers have asked you to do, right? So again, you're not fumbling through trying to figure out, well, oh my goodness, what I want to go into this industry, but what should I be offering? We have a whole team that all their job is to do is to look at your industry, look at the services that are associated with your industry, and make sure that we have them covered. Now, obviously, there are things and trends in your industry that continue to evolve and continue to develop. And so you have the ability to put your own little items in your dashboard as well. So we're not just telling you everything, right? You still have the ability to customize the dashboard to suit your particular company needs. But again, what you want to be very mindful of the time it takes you to execute your service, the process. Make sure you have that process down packed. And for me, you guys, let me just tell you the process of planning a service menu is not simply here's what I want to do, here's what I can do. You have to think about it in its entire continuum. Your service is from the time a customer books on your software to the time they rebook at the end of their appointment. That's your service. Not just, oh, I'm coming for a facial and so I'm going to lay down on the treatment table and we're going to go through the process. No, no, no. Your service menu encompasses from the time a customer decides to book their service with you to the time they decide to rebook. So it is a bookend process. So you got to think about your service menu in its entirety. One thing I always like to say, the customer is not always right, but they should be satisfied. Okay. Customers will look at your service menu and they will try to make it work for their budget. And that's okay, right? That's what we do. We have our money. We know we want to spend it somewhere. We've been kind enough to give our time and our money to you. So they're looking to make sure that everything about what they're coming to you for is right. Your service menu has to be that tight. Your process has to be on point. You have to understand what's going on. All right. But again, you should always be very, very, very mindful of what your customers are asking for. What are the trends in your industry? So that then that way you can continue to develop and grow your company. Right. So your service menu is an important aspect of what you're doing with your company. Customers. Right. We talked about it. So now we talked about you understand the financial plan you want to go to, right? Where you're going, what services you're offering to help you get there. And we talked about this in a plan, right? It's not all about you. Customers are the most important part of your business endeavor. You cannot have a company if you don't have customers. Hard stop. Then it really is just a hobby. Okay. You have to have customers. And if I could put it in a framework to help you visualize this more, people say, oh, where are the other people's money? Customers are other people's money. That is the first entree to other people's money you're ever going to have is customers. How do you treat your customers? This is not rocket science. This is legit just business science. Do you treat your customers like they're VIP? Do you treat your customers like they are the movie star coming down the red carpet every time they come into your establishment? Or do you treat them just like lackadaisically, like, oh, yeah, no, you're here. Oh, great. I'll be with you in a minute. And you just brush them off. They don't feel important. They don't feel invited when they come into your space, right? Do you even ask them to rebook before they leave? Like, how are you treating your customers? But to get to just like that type of conversation, let's roll back and you got to ask yourself, who's your ideal customer? That's a legitimate question. If you are selling like for what I was doing, I was in the beauty industry, right? And I was targeting women primarily were my main customer, women of a particular age bracket. I wanted 25 to 35. One, it was kind of the age that I was in when I started it, but simultaneously, I knew they had disposable income. I knew that they had jobs and careers that would necessitate them needing to have an image and a presentation of how they move through in life. And so those were my ideal customers. How did I connect with those customers? Where did I find them? I was at events that they were at. And I know this was pre-pandemic, but you guys, the world is opening back up now and events are happening. So you have to get from behind your computer, right? You can't just stay behind your computer all day and think you're going to find customers. That's just not logical in life because people are not always sitting behind their computers, particularly if they're working. So if they're working and then they're out going to do meetings and events and things like that, you have to be there too. So you have to find time in what you're doing to find your customers in an organic way. But then also, yes, you can still use the virtual social aspect of what you're doing to find your customers, but you need to find different ways to engage with your customers. All right. And you need to know how many customers can you really handle in one day. Listen, there's only a finite amount of time, right? That's the whole thing about your service menu. If you're offering these services, you need to know how many customers you can realistically execute service for in your time. This is all part of the plan. If you're planning on hitting a particular revenue goal for the year with particular services, you need to know how many customers at what rate you need to make that formula work for you. All right. This again, this isn't rocket science. This is some business science, but it's just a logical flow of how are we going to get from this idea to the financial goal that we want. Above all, you guys, you need to respect your customers' time. That goes back to that service menu. That goes back to even the financial obligation to it. One way you can look at this as well is, are you meeting a customer's need or desire? Because oftentimes, what's a driver in your success of your company is that you're feeling a need that most people either one cannot do, or don't have the skill set to do, or don't have the realistic time to do. I mean, I'm a mother of a 10-year-old daughter, and bless her heart, she has hair down to her shoulders. It is thick, it is young, it is fresh. And if I do her hair, it takes me like 8 hours. I don't have the time. I love her dearly, but it is a struggle. But I know I can go to the salon up the street, 45 minutes, I'm in and out. Her hair is beautiful. It works, right? And I am willing to pay, right, that premium for that 45 minutes compared to the 8 hours that it would take me. So that salon is meeting a need as well as a desire. I desire for my daughter's hair to be manageable and presentable so that I can manage it and that she can also manage it. But it also needs a need for me to manage my time, because I have to be mindful of my time as well and her time. So timing with your customers is extremely important. Do you offer an incentive? That's a good question, right? Sometimes people, if they've never worked with you before, they want to know, well, what makes me want to continue to work with you? What makes me want to stay with you? What's an incentive for me to come and do business with you? You don't always have to have an incentive. Incentives are nice. You don't have to offer an incentive to everyone, right? It is your choice. Sometimes I don't ask everyone for a referral. And that's just the honest truth of it, right? You can be particular about who you ask for a referral. I mean, now you can have a filter that you want to, again, what is the determination of our referral process, and what customer, again, what's the ideal customer? But if you have a customer who is constantly late to their appointment, constantly rescheduling their appointment, although they continue to come to you, they cause an issue within your scheduling. What's the old saying? Birds of a feather flock together. Why would I want a whole flock, right, of late, constantly canceling, constantly messing up my schedule customers? I'm not asking you for a referral. And it's just me, because now it turns into a problem. And as someone said earlier, it gives me more anxiety than I need to help execute my plan. I already have my own anxiety about executing this plan. And so now I'm bringing on my customer anxiety as well. And that's not helpful for anybody, right? So you want to be mindful with the incentives that you offer. And again, as I said, the customer is not always right, but they should be satisfied. So you want to make sure that you have your systems in place, your process for your service menu in place, so that when your customers come in, right, you're able to meet the need or desire that they have. You're able to execute what you are able to do and what they want to do in your service offerings, and you keep them coming back. One thing I have heard time and time again is that people are constantly looking for new customers, right? And that's true to an extent. You should have a process where you're constantly looking for new customers. However, you must have a process that retains those customers as they come in. The first step is simply ask them to rebook, right? Hey, the service was great. Glad you had a great time. Let's get you on the schedule within the next, X amount of days, 2 weeks, 3 weeks, whatever your service flow is for the service that they're doing. Simply ask for them to come back. That's how you're going to get a customer, because it is logically proven, it's actually financially proven, it is less expensive to retain a customer than it is to go and find a new one. Every time you have to go find a new customer, you have to outlay more money, right? And it's easier for you to simply have conversation, engage and nurture the relationships with your customers to help you retain customers, all right? So in your plan has to have customers to make sure that it functions. It's not just you, it's your customers as well. So you have to have a plan in place on how you're going to handle your customers. And we're going to talk, like, these are just things for you to think about. But if you don't have these things in place, right, you know it, we've got customer tracking for you. So again, your dashboard helps track your customer activities. We have profiles that set up as soon as your customers generate their first appointment. You're able to track everything from the classes that they might take that you're offering, appointments that they've had, whether they've canceled appointments, you're able to see it. You're able to see any products that they've purchased. You can make independent notes about them, right? If they have particular skin issues or particular ways that they like services to be offered or administered to them, you can make the notes that you need about them. You can track everything about your customer to make sure that they have it. Music industry templates. Yes, Rodney, we can talk about that. Make sure you send that inquiry info@busyboulevard.com. We'd be able to make sure they're pre-populated in your dashboard so that they can have that. But if you are migrating from another booking system, we can also upload your customer information already. So it's not like you are trying to start from scratch when you migrate over to our system, right? We give you tools and resources that are already in place, but we make it extremely easy for you to migrate your customers onto our platform. It's simple CVS file download, and we upload it into your account, and you're ready to go within like 15, 20 minutes. I think an hour is the longest I've seen, because the data was just so, it needed to be scrubbed. But customer tracking is crucial. You cannot say you have a company with customers if you're not tracking it, right? So our CRM in your dashboard, it helps you track how your customers are interacting with you. It even will shoot you out reports about your overall customer base. We want to know, who are my top customers? What are the top services that they're requesting? This will help you as the owner have more insight into promotions that you might want to offer or incentives that you might want to offer, right? You can have these VIP events for your customers, those top customers that are really supporting your activity and your endeavors. But you can also be even more targeted with those customers who are not as engaging with you, right? Now, this is a way for you to do more business activity and company nurturing of your customers to make sure, hey, maybe it's some questions you need to ask. What can we do to make your experience with us all the more engaging and supportive? But again, your dashboard has customer activity tracking available. We've gone the wrong way. What are you guys doing, dashboard? Ooh, marketing. Now, in your plan for 2024 for profit, okay, so we've already talked about, you have to have your financial plan in place. You have to have your service menu in place. You have to have your customer plan in place. But above all, you have to have your marketing in place, right? You can't say, oh, I have this company and no one knows about it, how are they going to know about it? You have to market it. You have to get the word out, right? Now, we talked about going in person and interacting with customers, but what are those behind the scene activities that you can do, right? Marketing is simply activities conducted by a company to communicate the products, the goods, or the services that you offer to your potential and to your current customers. All right. That's all marketing is. Marketing is creating and curating the conversation that you are going to have with the general market about who you are and what you do. Now, marketing has multifacets to it. And again, as I said earlier, right, this is the top of that pillar. What are the things that are supporting it to stand up? You can have printed materials, you can do videos, you can do live streams like we're doing now. You can have billboards, and you guys, billboards are extremely easy to purchase now. You can do television, you can have your own website, which you all should have your own website. That is your digital billboard. You own it, you can control the narrative that's going on there. You want to make sure that your website is owned and constantly maintained. All right. You can also find trade shows that are particular to your industry, right? And so even with this marketing, you have to have a plan on how you're going to get direct to your customers. So what's your marketing plan? First, again, you want to establish that goal. I want X amount of purchases, right? Here we're going to give this framework here. Goal number one, you want to purchase ads. Great. Well, okay. You need a timeline and a budget to go with that. You want to purchase ads that are going to talk about you hosting an event, ultimately with the goal to generate X amount of dollars. Now, there's a budget to have that happen. All right. You need to have a budget in place for that. But first, you're going to establish the goal. You're going to put the timeline and the budget of what you are willing to spend to execute this marketing plan. That's your step one. Your step two is you're going to list out the action items you need to complete this, to complete the goal. Now, that is where all of the details get displayed and revealed, right? Action items are all of those little minute details, all of those things that are holding up in that pillar. That's where a lot of people don't like the details, but the details are important because you need to know, who do I call? When do I call? What's the scheduling? What's the logistics? There's a whole framework of getting a marketing plan together, right? If I'm going to have graphics created, when do I need to get the information to them? When does it need to get back? When does it need to get to the print? When is it going to print out? Things like that. There's a whole framework that you need to have. You need to have a marketing plan, which will have a calendar built inside of that. You also need to know, step three, who else needs to be involved, right? We talked about this at the top of the call. A plan is not you by yourself. You need to know who else is going to help you execute this plan. And this can be anything from internal team to external team. But there is other people that are involved in a plan. It does not happen by itself. You need to know who needs to be involved. You need to have contact information for them, the best method of contact for them as well. And step four, you want a resource list. So your resource list should be everything that you currently have access to help you execute this marketing plan, but it will also list the things that you still need to execute your marketing plan. A lot of these little bubbles here, right? If you're doing printed material, you might need to go through like a Canva or a Photoshop or an Adobe, but there's so many marketing asset creation tools out here. You need to know which ones are you going to use and that you're going to use effectively. Is there a cost associated with it? But you need to put that resource list in order. And then step five is you're simply going to execute. And I know that sounds like super simple. Yeah, 5 steps. What's the goal? What are the actions that need to be completed? Who needs to be involved? What tools do you need? Great. Now let's go execute. Now, I have I like to call it my cameras, lights, teleprompters, mics, right? To get a live stream going. 4 things that are there. And then the 5th is the execution. And that's me, right? So same thing here with your marketing. What is it that you're trying to communicate? How long is it going to take you to communicate this? How much are you willing to spend to get that communication out? And then what is the action that's needed? Do you have to set up an account? Do you have to make a calendar of activity? Do you have to pre-script and pre-build all these things? A lot of activity goes on behind the scenes of marketing. It's not just, oh, I got this conversation that I want to have and I'm happy with myself. No, you got to put all these pieces in place to execute so that your message gets out so people know about the great services or products or goods that you offer. All right. So let's see here. We got to, oh, will we sync with HubSpot? Right now, we do not sync with HubSpot. I'll make a note of that. I'm going to be honest, I'm not even that familiar with HubSpot. I know I've heard some aspects of their CRM, but I know they have a lot of features. But no, unfortunately, right now we don't sync with HubSpot. Great question. Okay, we've got someone at the door. This is just, hello. Yeah, there's someone at the door. Yes, so, this is live. You gotta love live, right? But okay, so your marketing. There's your template for marketing. 5 simple steps. You are included in that. But get your goal, your timeline, your budget. What are the action items you need to complete it? Who else needs to be involved? What tools do you currently have or do you need to add to your marketing plan? And then finally, you just go ahead and execute it, right? Now, I like to tell people time is of the essence, right? We already said that earlier. Time is your frenemy. So give yourself time to create your plan. Make these things simple, right? I was personally, I operate off of a week timeline. So it's like if I have a week before I want something completed, it works for me, but that's just me. I'm very meticulous about my time. I mean, hello, I created an appointment setting software system. I'm very mindful of time, but you want to make sure that your marketing plan is very time bound. The time that it takes for you to create it, in addition to the time that it takes you to execute it, right? So putting your marketing plan together is easier than you think. Now, let's talk about all of this coming all together, right? All of what you did coming together. You tracked your budget, right? You got to track your activities. The biggest thing, write this stuff down, okay? You have to have, I advise people all the time, get a notebook, one for each company idea. I know you all are visionaries. Oh, excuse me. You're visionaries, you're extremely creative, and you have multiple companies you want to execute. That's fine. That's wonderful. Go forth, conquer, execute as many companies as you can, but start with one at a time, right? You can't do everything all at once. Let's start with one. So get you a notebook for this one company and start tracking your activities. Write out the activities that you need. Set a schedule. Have a great day. Set a schedule for you tracking this, and above all, be consistent. And again, I said you got to start this, you got to keep going, and you don't stop. When you stop, if you are going to stop, even plan your stops, right? Like, oh, okay, I'm tired. This is a lot. Let me just stop and breathe. It's okay. But track your budgets. Now, I told you on your dashboard, you have the ability to plan for where you want to go. And when you download it, you'll then be able to go back and put your actual spend, right? You want to plan how much you earn, and then you want to go back and track what did you actually earn. You want to plan how much you have to spend for your marketing, and then you're going to go back and track how much did you actually spend. All right. These things are important. So you can be your own self-tracker in this and keep yourself accountable. But if you have someone else on your team, you want to make sure that they have access to this as well. You want to track your customers. How many customers do you have? This is one thing that is so crucial. You have to know how many customers you have. You need to know how many customers you need to execute your plan. And even nicer, who are your top 20% customers, right? That's the Pareto's law. So it's like 20% impacts 80%, and it keeps that 100% together. But who are your top 20% of customers? It's good to know, right? Because they will turn into, they could turn into right? Just the greatest word of mouth people that you have. Or they might be selfish and not want to share you. I've had that experience too. It's like, hey, do you want to tell somebody about me? And they're like, no, because if I tell people about you, then I won't be able to have access to you. Your top 20 customers can be very selfish with you, and that's okay if they're really spending the dollars with you. So that's just, haha. But you want to track your menu. What's your most requested service? And again, the timing of those services is important, even more so if there is inventory associated with your services. Now, in the beauty industry and on your platform dashboard, we actually give you a place to track your inventory, which is crucial because look, I'm going to stay with the service-based activity. If you are executing a wash and style, right? How much shampoo are you using, and how many heads can you actually execute out of this shampoo that you're purchasing, right? What's the inventory turnover? Now, the other thing you want to be mindful of is when your inventory is not turning over. And I'm gonna give you a personal example. When I had the day spa in our nail department, we would spend thousands of dollars, thousands, okay, thousands of dollars for one collection of color. And they come out with the same, I mean, come on, it's the spectrum. The same colors come out every year, people. We would buy this customer, I mean, the new color palette. The customers, I kid you not, would come and ask for the same 5 colors. Now, mind you, we got like 80 colors on the wall, a huge spectrum. They would, I just want, I'm gonna go with the, what is it? OPI, the bubble, I don't know, it's like bubble gum or something like that. And I'm like, oh my gosh, if another person or ox blood, right? It was the same 5 colors that they would go to: red, cream, white, maybe black on the holiday, and a neutral. And I was like, oh my god. Yes, funny bunny. Thank you. Yes. Same 5 colors. And so what we had to start doing is we had to start our nail techs to get more engaged with their nail palette. And what we noticed is when our nail techs were more adventurous with their nail art or their nail colors, our customers would be more engaged with those colors as well. So there's just a little psychological trick for your customers there. But you still want to know what's your most requested service. If it's a manicure and a pedicure, if it's riding, you have the music, if it's, 16 tracks. So, over the course of whatever time, again, you still need to know what is it that your customer is asking for and how are you tracking your menu. Above all, you want to track your marketing activity. You have to know which marketing activities are working the best, okay? Even us, after we have my team, we're going to come back after these live streams run, and we're going to analyze which platform did we get the most engagement with? Which ones did we not? Do we continue on? Now we're getting the word out about this brand. So this is brand new on our activity for Busy Boulevard, but in general, it still resonates the same. I'm executing the same things I'm advising you all to do because they work, they're tried, they're true, they are proven, and they work. Again, when you start this, you have to keep going. You can't stop. All right. I know it can get overwhelming. It can be exhausting, but hopefully, right, all of what we've laid out over the past 56 minutes has helped you get a better idea of how to create a very intentional budget for next year and how to get you closer towards your profit. Now, we talked about some promos. Of course, I got to talk about the promotions that we offer. So, as I mentioned earlier, we just launched. I'm gonna let that sink in because you guys, it's taken some time to get here. I'm so grateful. I'm so humbled. November 24th was our official launch date. And we are here. And so you are going to hear me talk. If you bump into me in the street, the only thing I'm going to talk to you about is, hey, are you familiar with the Busy Boulevard platform? Right? I have no shame in letting you all know that this is here. And I'm excited because I know it's not just benefiting my family. It's going to benefit so many people's families, right? Our mission is to help people achieve at least an $87,000 household income and pay themselves with the activity that they're doing. And I know you're like, well, 87,000, what a random number. Somebody asked me that. Well, that's above poverty. Okay. Poverty line in the US now, it keeps man, and I would say it's actually moving up a little bit, but we should not have to outpace the economy like this. Unfortunately, we do. You need a tool to help you stay above all of the craziness that's going on in the economy. And right now, we are offering with our promo code 2023 launch, we have a 25% discount for life. Now, our service starts at $89 per month. We are subscription based. So that winds up being about $60 per month that you pay to have access to our platform. But you get all these things included, right? We're not just like nickel and diamond and adding on and adding on and adding on. So we have that promo launch 2023, gets you a 25% discount for life. That runs until the end of this month, December 31st. I can't help you after that on a discount code because they will come far and few in between. I'm telling you now, and tell your friends. But then we also have our 2023 influencer promo code. So if you want to join our Busy Boulevard brand ambassador program, you get 1 month free. You get a affiliate code that comes out with it. And we actually give you beautiful incentives to participate in that. So busyboulevard.com is where you would actually sign up. And again, if you use either one of those two codes, 2023 launch or 2023 influencer, they apply to any of our levels. We have monthly subscription, we have quarterly subscription options, and we have annual subscription options. So it's your choice on how you'd like to join the Busy Boulevard family. And I know what you think. Well, that sounds great, but what else do we get, right? Again, we have the mission to help you achieve 87,000 in your profit earnings. And this is on your personal budget. Now, if your personal budget doesn't hit 87,000, good. Then that means you just got a bonus. But if it's beyond that, then you're good. But we want to make sure that you're achieving this sustainable lifestyle earnings. Okay. We will give you social media features. So it's not just about me. We want to know who you are. We want to use our platform to spread the word about you and our community. We are on Facebook, Instagram, X, formerly known as Twitter, right? LinkedIn, YouTube. You will be featured alongside other wonderful service providers who are using our platform. You'll be entered in quarterly and annual raffles. Now, I'm excited about these because, excuse me, I was telling the team, ultimately, I would love to do some salon suite makeovers the end of the year. If you've been on our platform for a full year, you go into the raffle and we're going to come in and we're going to take over and revamp your salon suite. I think that's a wonderful raffle to enter into, right? Particularly if you've hit your revenue goals, because again, with our platform, we help to track the revenue goal that you're trying to achieve. So it's coming in there on your platform. We also you'll have free access to our business resource library. Now, you don't get access to that until you actually subscribe, but in there, we give you everything you could think of in terms of pre-created templates, from customer service to consultation reports. You have protocol libraries that are in there. Those resources are your resources. And then you have our CEO biweekly check-in calls, right? I will personally pick up the phone and call you. Yes, me personally, because I am committed to you. I want to know that you are successful. I want to know that you are having these wonderful epiphanies as you're growing your company. And so you'll be on a list, and I can't lie, it's a long list, but you will still get the call from me, okay? And then also you'll have access to merchandise discounts. Now, we don't have a lot of merchandise, but I love poker. It's my new thing. We have some poker-oriented merchandise that is on the platform right now. And then we also have like even the Busy Boulevard branded t-shirt, that merchandise that you have access to. Now, again, clock is running December 31st. These promos will not resurface. I'm just going to tell you, this is our launch. This is our promotion. We're giving away as much as we can. This is what we can give away for free. Free discounts, free monthly access. And please, 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 yes, share the word, spread the word. All right. So that, my dear friends, is what I have for you. Again, I'm so grateful to be a part of your journey. Remember, your company is just like a muscle. The more you exercise it, the stronger it gets and the more it can expand. Yes, I took and twisted that that quote that's out there, but I made it mine. Yes, your company is just like a muscle. If you don't work that company, if you don't exercise it, if you don't try to work on it and make it stronger, it's not going to do anything. It's just going to flop there and it's going to stay there. But you can do this. All right. We're here to help you along the way. So thank you again for your time this morning. Remember, your dream is absolutely possible. And I am so grateful to be a part of your journey. I look forward to having conversations with each and every one of you. And I look forward to you being on the Busy Boulevard platform. Thank you so much and enjoy the rest of your day. Record.